And if you could go back 5 years, what advice would you give yourself?
If anyone had any idea of like what was going to go down in 2020 and still probably to this day with the pandemic, that it'd be nice to have some sort of an insight on that. Like it was brutal being in the restaurant industry in that time, and it still is. Like, mate, we're going into Easter in a couple of days. Our head chef, who's like out, we're short staffed in Byron as it is. Our head chef's now got COVID, so it's like panic stations to try and put the team together. It just seems like it's this never ending beast. So if I could tell myself something, it's just like stock up on chefs while it's good, because it can just literally fall off a cliff with a pandemic.
Can you remember how you got the Masterchef gig? How did that kind of unfold? Did they come looking for you, or did you hear about it?
Mate, it was a pretty funny one, actually. I was overseas with my fiance. We were doing a bit of a Euro trip, and something came up in my newsfeed when I was reading the news about the old judges leaving the show. And I couldn't get into, I could only kind of read the headlines because it was all geo-locked. I couldn't actually like get a news article that I could read in Italy. So I was like, well, man, like I didn't know the ins and outs of it, but I was like, shit, like whoever gets that job is like, they're going to love life. Like, I know how special it is being in that kitchen. I can only imagine what it's like being a judge. Anyway, so fast forward on 4 weeks, we're still overseas. I still didn't really know much about it. I was just enjoying the holiday. And I get like a DM message in my Instagram from one of the old exec producers who was still on the show. He was an exec producer on season 4. And he was like, hey, mate, when are you getting back from overseas? And I hadn't heard from, his name's Tim Tony. He's since retired and got a lovely life on a farm. And yeah, he won't mind me saying this, but he's, when are you back from overseas? And I said, we were pretty close to flying back. We're only like 6 days out. And I wrote back straight away. I was like, I'm back in 6 days. And I didn't write any question. And so I think I got off I didn't want to write another one. So I just left it. And in the back of my mind, I'm just going, shit, I wonder if it's about the Masterchef judging role. Fast forward a couple of days, Alex and I had gone out for a dinner, had a few wines, and I was like, stuff it. I got a bit of Dutch courage now. I'm going to write back to Tim Tony and say, was this about the Masterchef gig? And I wrote back, is it about the Masterchef gig? And he's like, look, I don't want to say too much, but let's get a beer when you come back. I got back. We organised having a beer down in Melbourne, and we had a couple of pints, and we literally just chatted about different scenarios. And I think because they already knew that they were going to do Back to Win, which was getting all of the old contestants back for another shot, they already decided on that. I think the biggest thing to get me over the line was, would I be comfortable judging my peers? People that were in my season, in other seasons. How would I go standing at the judges' table with their plate of food? Would I be honest and open to giving them feedback? And I just really lucky how timing happens, because if you'd asked me that a year before he asked me, I probably would have said no. But at that time, I just felt really confident. I'd won a hat in the Rosebery restaurant. Things were just like, I felt good about what I'd done in terms of my cooking and what I thought shit and good food was. So, and then from there, mate, it was a pretty bloody quick process. I think it was like 3 weeks later, I got a phone call when I was at an event. He was like, mate, you've got the job. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So they'd already seen how you perform and everything. So they didn't need you to kind of do any mock scenarios or anything like that.
No, they knew, because like I'd been back every year as a guest
Gotcha, yes.
chef or guest judge on the show. So, and I'd been lucky that I'd done a fair bit of other TV stuff in my time. So they knew what I was like on camera. But I think it was just like, we need someone who's really confident and cannot take a backward step and can just like, be able to tell what good food and great food is, so they can give honest and open feedback. And that's how it went down.